camera's here and the microphone, and they wanna know, yeah. It's Lupe Fiasco's song, Superstar. When I got to the front, they told me all the tickets were gone, so take me back. Light bulbs around my mirror don't flicker, and everybody gets a nice autograph picture. One for you and one for your sister, who had to work tonight but is an avid listener. So this is that insertion down here, and you can see, if you can see, it's kind of bulged off the side of my leg. I understand you're looking at my leg, so if you got a problem with it, that's on you. What I'm saying is, I've had the same socks on for like 3 days, same shoes as well. I've slept in them. Here's the thing, man. We have that video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company titled The Importance of Even Achilles Tendon Insertions. And that's what this is down here, is the insertion to that Achilles tendon. Have no fear, the camera's here and the microphone, and they wanna know, yeah. Yeah, Lupe Fiasco. Superstar, and have no fear. That's a good message. That's what God says. A lot. More than anything else, He tells us not to fear. Fear not, for I am here. Be not dismayed. A second comforter. But anyway, point being, there's a point to things. And what I'm pointing to here is the fact that I've still got adjustments to do. I've been, trying to make videos. The importance of even, Achilles tendon insertions is the big thing I need to do myself. I was trying to make a video, gosh, that it wasn't time for. Because not that I'm not practicing what I preach, but it's good for me to have these things pretty well addressed in my own body before I make a video about it. And there's still quite a lot of scar tissue here. You just think about the back of your shoe, every step you take. Because that's the thing, it's... Yeah. Every step you take, every move you make, I'll be adjusting you. Talking about that Achilles tendon insertion. Because you'd normally be here, and you need to be able to be here. And that just takes a little bit of difference from what you used to be doing. If you used to be in a different position than this, you gotta be able to be in this one as well as the other one. Actually, you know, there's just rotations to the lower leg, bro. And oh, so that's a point. Maybe I just sit here like this, massage out that insertion while I'm just putting my lower leg here on the right side through its external and internal rotation. As I'm dorsiflexing it here, right, pivoting off the heel, and then I could also do it like this as I'm plantar flexing it here, pivoting off the toes. Shout out to the brand Wrangler, just because it says that on these socks, and so if it gets caught in the video by the camera is what I mean, then sure, give credit where I do. I have no affiliation as of now with the brand Wrangler, but there you go. So anyway, you know, because you can do this kind of thing in all sorts of angles to your ankle. Yeah, if I look down the back of my ankle, and even something like this, I've got the weight just on my, yeah, yikes, Achilles tendon insertion down there, and I'm just rolling on it like that. And this is the kind of stuff you have to do. All the stretches in the world aren't gonna help your insertion to the bone. You stretch your calf muscles, for example, like this. Who cares? It's not gonna do anything to the insertion of the bone down here. And I don't mean to sound accusatious or like I'm mocking people, you know, but you got to get down to the truth of it, or you're wasting your own time. That's the point. So I say stuff that's so harsh often under In The Image Clothing Company, like, you know, when I do mock workouts and running and stretching and just things that aren't necessary and things that are often just more damaging than anything else. It's, you know, that's kind of the attitude that I had just then, I guess is what I'm saying. Kind of explaining why, because it's important to understand. The musculature, yeah, it's about the skeletal system. The musculature is just there to move the skeletal system. That's all it's for. But it couldn't even happen without the skeletal system being there, but the skeletal system can be there without the musculature. I mean, there's still ligaments that connect bone to bone, but then the musculature comes secondary that has tendons that connect the muscles to the bones. So we make it very clear under In The Image Clothing Company, the human body is about its skeletal system. It's about a neutral position in every joint, you know. So, anyway. Can you see this in the frame? Yeah. You know, I got this whole thing about branding, man. I try to do what I can to not have branding in our videos, and then if I do, you know, at least give credit, even if I have nothing to do with the brand that's being shown in the video, other than I have like one of their products. I just like to try to do all that I can to give credit, as I say, where I do, right? Just, I mean, a lot of times it's not necessarily required, but other times I don't want to have copyright problems or, you know, not give people credit for making a product. You know, if I'm using their product, then cool. I'm very particular in most all cases on what I use, and so, you know, it's good to give people credit who are doing good things. I don't know if you could hear that little bit of clicking there as I'm moving my ankle through its ranges of motion, but anyway, shout out to shouting people out, because products wouldn't exist if people didn't make them, you know. But yeah, this is the point. If you don't address this, you'll never get out of patterning. Because this is one of the I mean, this is, yeah, it's a foundation, dude. It's down at your very foundation, and you're on Earth's gravity always as a human being, as long as you are, unless you're really in some space station somewhere cool. Some people really are. Doesn't matter. I don't give a care, dude. I don't care. You have to address the problem at the source, because that's the whole point. Is any video I make of like the importance of even blank and then insert whatever part of the body that there's two things of that we talk about often, under In the Image Clothing Company. Yeah, right, there's some specific things that we talk about keeping even left to right in the body that specifically get very altered. This is so hard for me. This is actually so hard for me making this video, because yeah. So if you don't address your Achilles tendon unevenness, if you will, the rest of your body's just gone. It has no chance from there up. Just on Earth's gravity, it couldn't possibly. It's a mechanical machine. The human body is just placed onto a rock in space. There's this universal law that none of us have a say over that we call gravity. There's a center line to the human body, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and the jaw. Stabilizing the entire body is what the jaw does naturally. Right, there's just, yeah, a neutral position to every joint. The feet, all of a sudden I'm just like screaming it, right? The feet are at the base, right? It starts at the feet. Shout out to Zero Shoes, the brand, Xero. I just do, I like them. Living life feet first, that's their slogan. I've talked about that often. Like I say, shout out to shouting people out just who are doing good things. The point is, regardless of anything else, just talking about this as it is right now, but also, yes, everything I said there, sure. It is, yes, it's good. You gotta address the feet, and you have to know how, and you have to know how the feet work to the degree to allow them to. Allowing the body to work under In the Image Clothing Company. This is what we call a box of soap. I'm just sitting here shouting. Soapbox. Here's the thing. I have patterning, okay? I've been thinking about doing an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, which we're on episode 158 as of the last one we made, by the way. So we've got a lot, so check them out. We have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ there, and I get in depth with it. Just talking about life as it is. You don't have to be religious in any sense. I'm not, as ironic as that is. Check it out and you'll see what I mean. If you see what I mean, yeah. So anyway, the point is something. I was saying something, I was doing some stuff, but this is good as well, just for you to see me struggling, right? Sometimes I'm struggling a lot, and this is good, because this is forever, as in this is eternal, as in, and meaning, and those are all the same thing I'm trying to say, but this will change the rest of my life, as in what you have seen in this video, just that amount of doing this will change the rest of my life drastically, dramatically. And don't believe me, but just check out any In the Image Clothing Company content, right? Today's the 19th of September, 2025. So from today's date forth, the position my body is able to be in, because its foundation is not as altered because of just the amount that I've done in this video alone, okay, is what I'm saying. Every little bit that you do is a lot. It's about the little things. That's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast's title. But yeah, point being, there's a point to things, and the point that I'm pointing to here is what I'm saying. I'm saying some things. This is the point. The point is, I'm uncomfortable. Can we get as real as we can get? It's one of those things, you know. How professional do you want to make it? How willing are you to lose yourself entirely to make it something that you could call professional? Because I'm not. What I'm willing to do, though, is God's. So I'll do God's will, which is this. And I know it's weird, but this is the rest of my life, and every human on the earth as well. So there you go. Okay, we have to address this, because I made a video. We have a video. We talk about it. This is as real as it gets. This is kind of, you know, I'm uncomfortable, and I tend to joke when I'm not so comfortable. This is hard. I mean, it's physically hard. It's emotionally hard. It's draining in a lot of ways. You know, it's something I don't know how to deal with a lot of the time. It's the past year and a half, give or take, of my life that has been terrible in so many ways, in order to allow the rest of my life to be, you know, that much better. it's been so hard. It's ridiculous. I talk about how it's been, you know, I've never gone through more physical pain in my entire life than I have, you know, gone through with what I've had to do here to get my body out of its chronic patterning and scar tissue as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, so that I can preach what I have practiced, you know, on the back end after I've done it. So it's hard, it hurts, it's not fun, it's necessary if you want your body to work. There's only one way that it ever could, and the positions just have to be allowed to be there in their neutrals. And after years of tying my right shoe uneven, meaning just incorrect, right, my whole, this doesn't rotate very much on these Converse when you pull, but you know, over toward the inside, over toward the center line of the body is how we need our feet to be tied evenly at the shoelace, In the Image Clothing Company's shoelacing technique, right, which looks just like this. Find it where you find us. But then, yeah, we have to tie our shoes evenly as well. Shoelacing will really alter the feet, but the knot is really what will do the majority of the rotations down there at the lower leg. And just not allowing that neutral to be there, I'm uncomfortable. Does anybody care? Because I don't care. I don't. It's hard. It's so hard. I don't just mean physically hard, like I'm doing some workout, but it's that too. Yeah, I mean, it's been so hard in a lot of ways. A lot of it's warfare too. You know, a lot of it's just, I'm going through a lot that I wouldn't otherwise go through if I wasn't doing all that I can to be obedient to God's will. And that's when we come up against things that we battle. So shout out to Yeti, the brand of this water bottle. Shout out to Converse. These are Chuck Taylor All-Stars I'm wearing. I shouted out Wrangler because it says so on the socks, giving credit where, you know, it happens. But here's the point. The fruits of the labor. You can sit here, and if you don't even know what I'm doing at all, like you have no context on what In the Image Clothing Company is or who Evan Strong is, that's me, by the way, but you know, let's say before this video you had no idea who I was or why I'm sitting here with one of my socks halfway on my foot, and you know, making a bunch of weird jokes and stuff and squirming around like I'm all uncomfortable. Well, I am, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energetically. What else can we say? It's very uncomfortable. It's so much to go through. We've got a bone spur here that is the point on the, yeah. And I'm not having it, dude. I don't know why I keep touching my head. I feel like my head's like extra itchy. Ah, shoot, man. No, I'm not having it for any amount of time past the time that I rid it, is the point. That's the point. We rid, and you know, meaning get rid of and get out of the chronic patterning and scar tissue that gets built up from just ropes around the feet. So I mean, let's do a little demonstration. We've shouted out the brands, so let's not fear showing the brands in the video. Not that I would fear it, but yeah, let's make it as real as it is. If you take your right foot and tie a right-handed knot, okay, then when you look, the ropes are horizontal here. Look at the angle the shoe's in. I don't even care exactly what it's going to do. I'm not expecting it to do anything specific except for something different, because I know that it will. Watch this. You tie on the right shoe over toward the center line of the body and you tuck it in, okay? Over toward the inside. Now, look at the angle of the shoe. It changed. I don't even care. I just, you know, meaning you're just taking a rope. Can we look at this close? I've shown this. I mean, this is In the Image Clothing Company. This is one of our 2 prerequisites. Lacing and tying shoes correct. But you just picture it. You know, this is your ankle flexing. How professional is this? You tie a knot like this? Wrong, okay? Now it's twisting the ankle in a weird way. You tie a knot properly over toward the center line on both feet, okay? And now you just have, I mean, it's just a rope. It's just one side over the other. You're just going to allow the ankle to track in line the way the foot rolls and walks. So there you go. It just is what it is. And you know, after years of doing that first example the incorrect way, and when I say years I mean literally 2 decades, 20 years of my life personally, that's where you get this bone spur created, which is where the tendon, which connects the musculature to the bone, pulls on the bone in an incorrect position, and it just builds up excess bone there rather than having that nice neutral position. There's that slight outward curvature just of the structural system of the bones of the lower leg that travels through the ankle and out the foot, and there you walk in line. But you got to have a knot allowing that to happen if you're going to have a knot at all. And I did not at all have the right knot for 20 years of my life. Then it travels through your whole body, dude, right? And that's what we know as people who know in the Image Clothing Company, and it's not funny at all, so I'll just sit here and yell at a wall, bro. No, but this is good. It's good, right? I just want it to be as real as it gets. Like I say, I mean, I'm just a human being. I'm just doing things. What I'm doing right now, I know that it's not what I expected when starting this video, but talk about it as it is, you know? It's as real as it gets. It's just, I mean, you just have to have your foundation even. The rest of your body, focus on it for the rest of your life. You're wasting your time if your foundation's not even. If you're ever going to put weight on your feet, if you ever walk, if you ever stand, even just sitting down and just your feet resting on the ground, they have to be able to be even. Even just, you know, in a wheelchair for your whole life, or bedridden. Just, I mean, you're laying there in bed, you're either even, like this, or you've got a bone spur like this, and it just travels up your whole leg, and your whole body. Do you see what I mean? So it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're paralyzed or anything. You have to still have your body even, because everything's still connected if it's there. That's what that means. For something to be there, it's connected to the rest of you. And also just Earth's gravity is always affecting the human body in our lives. So you just picture it, you know, just the area around the ankle, because really what the knot of a shoelace is doing is cinching up around the ankle. You know, the lacing itself cinches around the top of the foot. It shapes the upper of the shoe, which is the part above the sole. The way your foot is shaped, because there's only one way the human foot works, 26, as far as I'm aware, that's the number, or right around there if not, but bones in the feet, and they all just, you know, there's a lot of functionality and mechanics going on in there. There's only one way the feet are shaped, hence in the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique. Nothing to do with us. We don't own some way of taking a rope and putting it across itself. You can't do that. But we title it in the Image Clothing Company shoelacing technique because then you can find it. It's the only way the human feet are shaped, okay? In no opinion, it'll never change. I didn't design it. I can't decide it. Let's talk about it as a collective. We didn't design it. We can't decide it. Oh, that's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast title. So, when you're tying a knot around the ankle here, right, do it right at where the ankle flexes. Otherwise, you're going to limit the dorsiflexion or plantar flexion of your ankle. And either one of them, you have two. If you do, most humans have 2 feet. And then above that is an ankle on each side of the body as well, opposing the center line, allowing for arches in the feet to grip inward that keep us vertical, opposing each other. Here's the thing. Tying this knot really cinches around the ankle area here, and it's essentially pulling the heel up to here. I mean, because when you pull these two sides together, when you tie the knot tight, It's kind of pulling from back here to here. I mean, that's really what's cinching, is an angle like this. Okay? And if you've just got excess bone mass growing out the back of your heel, then when you tie your shoe, even if it feels evenly snug on both feet, one foot is bigger than the other. Physically, it's grown bigger because it's been so inhibited. And that's the thing with the whole right side of the body. We talk about it as the right-handed world under In the Image Clothing Company. The right side just gets so big. We get excess bone mass built up in places, and yeah, and then the body really can't come in on the right side. It's stuck out, and it can't, you know, go left because it's stuck down on the right, and so external on the right and farther away, dropped. Okay, rotations of the body, internal and external. We get into it in depth, and I sometimes am, you know, doing things so unconventionally, and that's great. So yeah, I love it. But I will say this, all the things that I have been, because it's so important, man. You only get one body. Another episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast title is The Only Thing That We Have. It's the human body, right? The only thing that we'll ever have actually in this life. Everything else can leave except for our bodies. And we can gain anything else in this world, except we didn't decide really, right? I mean, to gain our bodies. It's the only thing we're actually just given freely. It's the only thing we're promised, because if we don't have our bodies, we don't have this life. And you hear people I have throughout my life, and before I was the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, just meaning before I understood what I now know that is the rest of my life's company that I have founded, I would hear human beings talking about having 2 different sized feet. Well, no further explanation necessary for this video. You'll just have 2 different sized feet. I mean, I literally have just a measurable distance of bone mass lengthening my foot back here at the Achilles tendon insertion, because it's been pulling on my foot in an incorrect position for so many years. And there you go. Voila. Solutions. There's only one way the human body could ever work. All of a sudden, he checks to see who thinks he's weird. Anyway, the point is, as I say, you know, all the chiropractic visits in the world in your lifetime, all the physical therapy, all the workouts, stretching, yoga, whatever, blah, 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 anything, everything, all things you ever try to do to your body will be for naught. It'll be a waste. It'll be a waste of time entirely, a waste of effort, a waste of energy, and potentially just more damaging to your body if you don't address something that is altered from clothing. And really, if you don't address the clothing, if you don't start tying your shoes evenly, you've got a physical rope twisting your ankle. You saw what I did tying the knot. You saw what it did around the water bottle, and you can just picture it. One side of a rope over the other side. What will it do to the body? This is incorrect. This is correct. Over toward the center line, over toward the inside. One of In the Image Clothing Company's 2 prerequisites. I say it in the intros of almost every video that we make, at least around this time, and at least on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, one of our 4ths. We do have 4 sides to us. Anyway, the point is that. There you go. So, yeah, okay. Because inside this shoe, that's what I was saying, you know, you cinch this around your ankle, sure. Tie your shoes evenly, not only even knots, but then let's say you tie your shoes even pressure as well, you know, and so you've got even tension around your ankles from your right one to your left one. But if your ankles are different sizes, then you've actually tied a different amount of cinch, if you will, from right to left. Because if your right ankle's bigger, you'll actually have your right shoe tied looser, even if it feels as tight. The actual, the actual tightness isn't the same, but your feet are different sizes within patterning. Like mine is, I'm speaking out of personal experience. I mean, this is just as real as it gets. And so, and it is, and so it is, and it is, and that's it. And this happens to everybody. It doesn't exclude a single human. It will never change. It doesn't matter if you're wearing just some type of like sandally things, or if you're wearing shoes, if it's a modern design, if it's an older design, if they're natural materials or unnatural materials. Ideally natural materials in everything. The human body is natural. The goal under In The Image Clothing Company and all four sides is natural. Gosh, I don't even want to touch the bottom of those shoes. But, it doesn't matter. Ideally, round laces. Ideally, no stretch in anything, and no give to even, the material of the upper of the shoe. And we talk about it. The feet need to be flat on the earth because they just would be if there was nothing man-made placed underneath them that could alter them, right? And we talk about what's necessary, but the point is stuff like this. You'll never get here with this amount of range of motion. Where open hips come from is an episode of In The Image Clothing Company. It's not an episode. It's on the main side. We don't call them episodes like we do for like the podcast, for example. But also Metronome Madness on In The Image Clothing Company Music. I call those episodes as well because I actually number them. But no, where open hips come from is a video I made just a few days ago, 3-4 days ago. Yeah, definitely somewhere around that amount of time ago from today. Even maybe 2 days ago. I just want this to be as real as it is. You'll never have open hips if you don't have your foot able to right, be in its only working position. And if you have a rope that's just going to alter that, because we just picture ropes, what a rope can really do, and you're just twisting. That's for your whole life, for 20 years, for me specifically. I say that, I don't know exactly if it was 20 years exact, but let's say I started tying shoes when I was 4, I was 24 years old before I started tying them evenly. So, like 20 years of alteration to my body just from a rope around the ankle. Out of all the things, because we talk about everything in clothing, anything that's a possible imbalance, we talk about it. We give free modifications. If you know who we are as In The Image Clothing Company, but that's why we're here. That's what we do. It's about the human body, not about clothing. It's just the only thing placed on us physically, so it's the only fix to human beings' physical problems. No opinion, how could it not be? All of a sudden I'm so sassy, bro, but I have made it clear, I really have, on this has been so hard for me. There's an episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast titled Not a Walk in the Park. It's in the number 150s of episodes. Just one of the last few that we filmed is that one. We meaning me. It's just so hard. Physically, it's just been so much to go through. And I'll say this, it takes time. And I've been thinking about this so much just the past few days, especially. There's only a certain amount that you can do within a certain time. If you think about just, healing in general, people in like a hospital or intensive care of some kind, after a traumatic physical injury or like a burn or a break of something, a sprain of something, even a sickness or an illness, some kind of ailment in any way, there's only so much you can do to hurry up the healing process. The body needs time. You know, no matter how far we could get with like medical advancements or technology, a certain degree of it will always have just a certain amount of time that you have to let it take to heal, regardless of what else you're doing as well. That's how it will always be, because the human body, it's alive, you know, it's a living thing. It's something that has the ability to heal itself. And you know, if you try to do too much really from the outside, you can shock your system too much. You can actually damage things. You can do irreversible damage in moments and in ways too, you know, when you introduce things that aren't natural in like too quick of a time, the wrong dosage, you know, like medication type stuff, or something that's just too extreme for the body. It just needs to be able to. That's why I'm slowing down with my speech. That's why I can't say anymore right there until I realize what I am saying. I need to put my sock back on and put my shoe back on at this point, because I've actually done a lot just in this little video here, which, yeah, that's what I'm saying is things take time. I can't sit here and, just like I couldn't have sat there and in one day just do all the adjustments that my body could need. So what I mean is, in this instance, I can't sit here and rid all the scar tissue that's there in my Achilles tendon in one moment, because my body needs some time to adjust from there up. You know, it starts here and then it travels up the whole body, and everything needs to be able to adjust for what the foot does after you've adjusted it to be able to be in a different position. And so you can't shock your body too much. You can't do too much at once. And phrased in a different way so you can hear what I'm actually really saying for sure, you have the ability to do too much at once, and that's not something we can do healthily. I'll say it like that so it can be understood on what I mean, because that can be taken wrong. If I say you can't do too much, it's like, oh, so I can do as much as I want. What I mean is, no, we need to be intentional to not do too much at once. And so that's why it's taken time. The amount of patterning that my body was in and has had to get out of, as I'm saying, right, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, personally, me, Evan Strong, I was in deeper patterning than most people ever get into in their life. And there's a lot of things that went into that. You know, heart surgeries with big incisions, altering things like, you know, just the skin on my body and my rib cage itself, you know, my sternum being cut in half twice. Yeah. And then all, you know, wearing oversized clothing to the degree that I did for so many years, tying shoes unevenly. That's something so many people do, but not all that many people wear boots. I went about 4 years. If you take an accumulation of you know, everyday use, it was right around 3 to 4 years every day in 6-inch tall leather boots. They were laced all the way up, so my ankles were already restricted. I don't know how they were laced as far as the pattern. I know it wasn't proper, the only way the human feet are shaped, in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. It was something else, I know, because I remember, you know, I had a lace break and I just kind of tied it back together like halfway up, and I just remember it wasn't any like uniform lacing, especially not left to right, you know, it was different from side to side. And I would also wrap the laces around my ankle and then tie them again. You know, like I'd do like the first cross of knots, which was already uneven at that time, and then I'd wrap them around my ankle and tie them again, And so now my ankles are locked in from lacing all the way up, so there's barely any motion. And then the lace wraps around the ankle, which really locks them in even more. And they were tied toward one side when there's a center line to the body. And, you know, man, even things like tags and shoes, you know, that's our second prerequisite under In the Image Clothing Company, is just removing all tags from clothing, and that includes shoes. There are still tags in these just out of transparency, but you know, the tag starts higher than where my lacing stops, so it doesn't actually press the tag against my ankle, for the sake of, if not, altering my ankle. That's why we remove tags in shoes, because musculature can't activate against something so slippery. It's just synthetic, unnatural. They're only decades old as of today's date, and in this case it's just not really even against my ankle much at all, so I haven't done anything with them. But you know, those boots that I had, I do remember, yeah, because I wore them so much, one of the tags was worn off. I don't know if it was all the way for sure or more than the other, or maybe I peeled it off. But then, this is stuff we would never know if you don't know. That slipperiness to the tag, let's say you've got a tag on one ankle and it's very slippery and you don't have one on the other. Every step you take, you're just rubbing something really slippery against one ankle and the other one has texture. In the case of my boots, it was leather. You know, I mean, that's just going to really alter the way your ankles can flex. I mean, you just picture all that's going on in here, all the musculature and tendons coming down into the foot and then spreading out all into all the toes, and the arch's ability to grip. And yeah, every step of walking or just movement of any kind in life, you know, it's in that case of just one tag on one side and the other one's just worn off or something, or got pulled off, it's just uneven activation to musculature that travels again through your whole body, because your feet / ankles are the foundation of your body, right? Just the lowest point on Earth's gravity. So this is as real as it gets. And shoot, I feel better already, because that's the thing, is if you've got that bone mass from a bone spur on your heel, then when you sit like this, you're actually using a lot of hamstring contraction, right? Muscles only contract, meaning getting shorter. That's why stretch within clothing is so damaging, because it goes the opposite direction of the only way that muscles could ever work. Okay, and stretching the body itself is also damaging. It seems like something that might benefit you, but no, we need to understand what's really going on, because if you're within stretchy clothing, you're already just feeling so weird anyway. You'll have tense muscles because they're trying to combat the stretch, and so they're overly tightening because the clothing's stretching away. You need to be able to contract your hamstrings to sit like this. What the hamstring does is pull your heel back. You picture this muscle shortening. That's what it does, is pull the heel back. So when you sit down, you're pulling back with your heels. And if you have a bone spur on one side, you're not actually sitting even at your feet. You'll be sitting like this, okay? Because there's just excess bone on the rear of your heel. So now the activation up your whole body is changed because your feet are uneven. Do you see what I mean? Because there's just excess bone mass where the pressure is being placed on the heel, and that travels up through your whole body to your everything, to your entire body, to the tip of your head and the tips of your fingers. This is another one of those examples. I did not know that this was the video. I came out here to film something else, and I ended up filming this. So That's how it works a lot of the time. Right? I mean, you'll just never... I want to be careful now because my knee isn't used to the position of my Achilles tendon insertion down there yet, right? Because I just did all that adjustment. So in my full depth of range of motion in my knee, I want to be careful, not like just, you know, do it too abruptly at first. Yeah, but even something like this, you know, when you sit in a deep low squat, feet completely flat, and this is very, very, very natural. This is just your full range of motion in the knee joint at least. And if you go all the way here, you know, chest to knees, then in your hip joint as well, you can't go anywhere else. You'll just physically hit into things. I mean, you can't have any more range of motion. You can't stretch into anything else that's just a physical blockage, right? And so in a position like this, well, you need to be able to get here is the point, because the body needs its full range of motion. God gave us a certain level of range for each motion or function of the body to have, and if it's inhibited in any way, then the body's just damaged, right? There's only one way it could ever work. If it's not allowed to, it just will have complications and problems coming from that. And so, and that looks like compensation trying to happen in parts of the body that can't, right? Everything only just has its role to play. It has to be able to in the body. That's why it's there. Everything has its own function. Nothing else can do the function of something else. So in this position, if you have that excess bone mass on the rear of your heel, you won't be able to get your glutes touching your heels like this, right? I mean, I'm resting. Really, my glutes aren't actually touching my heels quite. It's my hamstring muscles against my calves more than anything. Again, just physical blockages, not in a bad way, but it's just as far as you're gonna go. You're not gonna push through that to try to get anything else. I know how people preach stretching, and it's very damaging what a lot of people say. There's only one way the human body could ever work. We don't have opinions here under In The Image Clothing Company. We're human beings. We're not going to be perfect and only speaking truth always, no matter what, but it's my goal to never have some kind of like opinion that I ever share here. That wouldn't do anybody any good, not myself either. But just meaning, you know, you'll have, that's what I was saying, right? The musculature is hitting the musculature, so the bone doesn't actually hit the bone. The sit bone or ischium down here, and then the heel of our foot, right? If they could actually touch, I mean, I can get it to, like right there. This won't be able to happen as easily on the right here as it could on the left here. Okay, heel to ischium, heel of the foot, meaning insertion of that Achilles tendon down at the heel to the sit bone, meaning just the bottom of our pelvis or hip structure, the bone down there. You couldn't do this as easily as you could do this if there's just excess bone on that Achilles insertion, the Achilles tendon to the heel, right there. You'd be here, for example. And now you've changed your pelvis position, and so it will go here. If your pelvis can't sit here, because there's a gap from the bone of the heel of the foot where the Achilles tendon inserts, then you'll have a gap. My foot just came forward, and now my glute or my ischium, my sit bone, the bottom of my pelvis, all the same thing, kind of same area, that would be against my heel is the point, won't be. And so now just gravity will still be pulling on it, and it won't have something being the heel of the foot stopping it. Just for an example of, oh, that's a real example. I mean, yeah, sometimes maybe we're sitting like this, you know, I don't know, doing something in it, maybe, right? But just anything in life, just that's a way you can see it directly against something and what that physical gap will do that travels up the whole body because of a bone spur, right? Yeah, so yeah. And so that's what it is. You know, I say it like this, I don't even care. It's like I don't even want to talk. I get so humbled by this stuff. I don't feel worthy of this. That's what it is. Because I don't mean to be prideful, but we know how to actually get to the bottom of things, and most everybody else doesn't, as far as the people we could mention, and that I sometimes do. Actually, fairly often I do. You know, physical therapists, personal trainers, orthopedic type people like surgeons, chiropractors. I don't mean to be putting In the Image Clothing Company, and really, you know, me, the one saying it as the founder, Evan Strong of In the Image Clothing Company. I'm not trying to put me or us as a company above or be prideful, but I want to make it as clear as I need to, meaning I need to make it clear, and so I do. We know the actual true fixes. This is what I mean when I say I don't have an opinion on these things, and how I say clothing is the only fix to human beings' physical problems, and it couldn't be an opinion. I mean, I just discussed this as it is. There's no way to view this. There's no care to have on clothing. You have to, because it's placed physically on you all day and all night, whatever you wear to sleep, you know. I mean, this is just as real as it is. That's it. And so this is what I mean when I say, I can say a few things here. This is what I mean when I say In the Image Clothing Company has been since the founding, like the very, very, very beginning, and always will be huge, because we speak truth. We speak things that will never change, that apply to every single human body on the earth. Just meaning every single human. That's what makes you a human being. That's what gives us the ability to say everybody. It's everybody, physicality-wise. But then also, yeah, just all the things I say. You know, when I talk about another one of our Forbes In the Image Clothing Company poodles, and I say, you know, we'll always be a huge name in poodles, it's a very similar, I mean, pretty much the exact same thing as saying, you know, we will always be huge under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, because we do the same things for dogs as well, because, I mean, we just get down to the truth of things, you know. I've just been blessed and given this understanding, and just such an understanding of life. It's unreal. I don't care if anyone cares, but I do. I care about God. I care about saying thank you. You know, it's ridiculous. So ridiculous to be able to do this is what I'm saying. It's crazy. Something I don't deserve at all. So yeah, until the end of time, this video will be valid for every human on the earth. Like I said, regardless of what shoe design you have. You know, thousands of years ago, if it was just some leather slab on the bottom of your foot with leather strips around your foot and ankle that you wore as a sandal, or if it's in modern day with whatever shoes, or anytime ever, I mean, just anything we place on the body, anything that clothes the body, meaning goes onto it, is clothing, right? It is clothing the body with something, and that's what we do under In the Image Clothing Company. Well, we talk about eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration. We talk about our whole lives because we talked about the human body. And so you know, when I talk about being unworthy to know this stuff, that's what I mean is, you know, if you don't know what the stuff is that I know, then you wouldn't get why I speak about it the way that I do. So there you go. Again, shout out to the brands that are in this, just because they happen to be Wrangler, the brand of my socks. Yeti is the brand of this water bottle. Converse, the brand of the shoes. No affiliation. I want to give credit where I do. I just want to make things that last eternally. You know, I just know the impact of this out of personal experience, and it'll affect everybody the exact same forever. And so this video can live on forever. And I think a lot of times what we need to do is realize the impact and magnitude of what we're really doing in moments when it may not seem like what we're doing matters as much as it actually does. Even if we think like, yeah, this is great, it's a good thing, or if we understand that it is, you know, we don't have the capability as human beings to understand what God is really not only allowed to do, but doing through us and because of us, if we're willing to do stuff that we don't even fully understand, but we just know we're being told to do. So it's heavy, hits me hard, and that's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. Makes me emotional, and that's amazing. Okay, so there you go. See how I'm like physically uncomfortable? I mean, a lot of it's been a lot of, you know, what you could call arthritis, and that's what this is essentially. Anytime you have scar tissue type stuff on bone or in joints between bones, or excess buildup of bone mass in areas that are altered, that's what it is when they say arthritis. But that's just a label, that's just a name. We get down to what it actually is and how to address it, and not only that, but permanently fix it. Truly, actually, legitimately. I mean, what I've shown in this video is a good example of that. Something that can never be the same. Another episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast's title, Never Be the Same. It couldn't. As long as I never tie my shoes unevenly again for another 20 years, doing all the same things that I did the last time that I did that, I could never have the same bone spur occur on my right Achilles tendon insertion to my heel. It's physically impossible, right? Just as things take time to heal, things take time to build up incorrect patterning. So, yeah. It's the 19th of September, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This was just a discussion. And you know, yeah, a lot more than that. Something I didn't expect, that's for sure. Check out check out In the Image Clothing Company. I won't say much more in this, but check us out. Stick around for the poodles. It'll be very, 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 very big, and expect it. You know. Like, hold me to that in a sense, meaning just you'll see. There's only one way, and that way is Jesus Christ, the designer of the human body. I'll do something. I think at least. I don't want to push anything. I mean, I haven't even stood up or walked yet after adjusting as much as I did there. But no, I'll be fine. I'll just kind of get out of this position in some kind of cool way, and then we'll cut this. Oh my goodness! As I put my arm back, my sternum, you know, or my rib, like popped a little bit. That's what I mean. You know, it'll travel through the whole body when you do adjustments like that. When you rid scar tissue is the point. So I'm gonna tie my shoe a little bit tighter, because I'll go on a walk after this as well and watch this video back before I put it out there under In the Image Clothing Company. And this shoe's just not quite as tight as the other one. Ideally they're just as even as we can get, you know. over toward the inside, man. It's just two sides to the body. It has to be even. In the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique, you'll have no question if you just look that up anywhere you possibly could find it. And you'll find it in modern day, just, you know, anywhere. So, okay. Man. Yeah, it's the rest of my life. You know, as I've said, even if I never had a company of any kind, that wouldn't matter. I mean, I have my personal physical body, and only this one, you know, for the rest of my time on this earth. And yeah, I mean, there's just only one way that it could ever work. Just, I mean, just the beauty of how big of a gift this specific video is crazy, because this isn't a video I could make quite the same, you know, as time progresses. This is a video I can only make as it is, right? Showing me actually doing releases that need to happen while the releases still need to happen, you know, while I'm still getting out of these patternings. I mean, I couldn't actually do this like I did here, you know, later down the road, you know, as time progresses, because I just wouldn't be able to, you know, it wouldn't be able to be as it is. You know, you saw my physical discomfort in this. You saw, you know, the actual bone spur on my Achilles tendon there, to the degree that it is as of today's date. And as time goes on, it just will never be like that again. So that's what I mean. You know, I'm not deciding these things and the timing on them because they wouldn't work properly if I tried to. It's God's timing, or it's not going to work. And that's it. So that's something we need to realize. When we don't realize what's going on in our lives, we just have to remember it's not our plan. Yeah, that's awesome. The motion that's there now, I mean, that's incredible. You know, things like, yeah, just, you know, daily activities, things. We talk about it. We talk about everything we do as a human being, physically. Everything under In the Image Clothing Company. And it'll all just damage you if you're first within clothing that is damaging you, because you're not just doing things in life, you're doing things through your clothing that's placed physically on you. That's just how it is. Unworthy, man. Yikes. Yeah, it'll never be the same. Couldn't possibly. And I couldn't have possibly done it on my own. So, we're not just a clothing company, by the way. music, poodles, podcast, and really what it is the anatomy of the human body as far as the four sides, and that's where the clothing comes in, is the anatomy of the human body. So, and everything else, but you know, if you know, check us out. I'm here for life, man. It's not a joke. It's not some kind of like hopeful startup thing. I mean, this is more impactful than, than anything else that's not as impactful as this. Let's say it like that, so that we're just not trying to make some claim. The human body. Stick around for the poodles, man. Stick around for the poodles. Stop back in, whatever you want to do. Poodle parade events here in the state of Utah, the United States of America. Look it up. Bring your poodles, purebred or mixed poodles of any size. And we'll do a lot of fun nature stuff, environmental help stuff, advocating for dogs, proper breeding, proper ownership, keeping dogs healthy. You know, really what our slogan is letting dogs stay natural. On In the Image Clothing Company poodles, that's what we say. So. Standard poodles, the big ones, that's what we specialize in here under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. So stick around for it. It'll be so much more than I deserve. I know that. So stick around for it. Oh shoot. Yeah, my body's not used to the position, so that was not how I expected it to go. Where I am gonna go right now is on a walk. I'm gonna watch this back and thank you.